So we were discussing this reading by Jayan Thomas, Labor Market Changes in India in 2005-8. So there are two parts to the labor market, labor supply and labor demand. We've already talked about labor supply part. And just for a recap, let me just tell you the main point that because now the education level of the labor in India, it has improved. There is more enrollment in the educational institutes. So just because they have enrolled into these institutes for a few years, whether school or college, their aspirational levels have changed. So their aspirational levels for the kind of jobs which they want to have, the kind of the work which they want to get, the kind of the wages which they want to have, all of that has changed. So we've talked about labor supply. That was just a recap. And we also talked about the first part of the labor demand. And in that, we have discussed about the agricultural sector. Right? We said this that between 2004-5 and 2011-12, there was a revival of the agricultural sector. And not only that, but for the first time, what has happened is that the number of workers in the agricultural sector, they have gone down. The number of people who are in absolute number of people who have been employed in the agricultural sector, it went down, right? And this happened somewhere in late 2000s. Now we will take the discussion further and we'll talk about what were the other reasons where the labor demand is changing. So particularly, there was the pull of rural construction jobs. There was the rural reversal also after 2012. Let's have a look at that. Pull of rural construction jobs. So if you look at the rural construction jobs, there was an acceleration in the growth of income and employment from the construction sector from 2005 onwards. And because of that, this construction sector has started demanding labor as an input. And that labor was coming from agricultural sector. And during this time, because now men are employed in the construction sector, so women who were earlier self-employed in the agricultural sector, their numbers, it started falling. So self-employment of women in the agricultural sector, it started falling. And these men, they were getting employed in the construction sector because construction sector was booming at that. 2005 to 2012, construction sector has created almost 23.9 million jobs outside agriculture. And then if you look at the rural reversals after 2012, between 2012-13 and 2017-18, the boom in the agricultural sector, the boom in the agricultural incomes and the employment, it fell, right? So that boom had started falling. So the growth in the agricultural incomes, it slowed down during that time. And there were various reasons for slowdown in the agricultural sector also, mainly because many years in between 2012 to 2018, there were monsoon failures. There were the falling agricultural prices. So if the agricultural prices are not high, how will these farmers earn? Not only that, there was not much investment in agriculture also. So in case of the infrastructure in agriculture is not going to develop, how the growth is going to be there, how incomes are going to be increased. That is the point. And also the construction sector, it started compressing in after 2012. So the construction sector, which has increased from 2005 to 2012, it started falling in after 2012, right? And there can be other reasons also of the fall in the rural sector. Mainly, demonetization has occurred. So it was a tight blow to the informal sector. So if you look at the fresh employment opportunities which were created in rural India by construction sector. So this is 2005-12, it is 18.9. Guys, this is for the entire construction sector, not only rural. This is particularly by the construction sector in rural India. So in 2005-12, it is 18.9. Well, if you compare this with 2012-18, it is 1.6. So you can see that it is not creating much, right? It is not creating much uh, amount of the employment. Then there is the another phenomena which started coming. When construction sector was booming at that particular time, many workers from the agricultural sector, they started shifting towards the construction sector. But when sector started falling, then those workers only started coming back to the agricultural sector. So there was a reversal of the employment in the agricultural sector, right? So there was the shift of labor from the agricultural sector from states like MP, Bihar, UP, Rajasthan, etc. when construction sector was booming. But when construction sector started coming down, there was an increase in the male agricultural labor force again in these sectors, again in these states. For example, in MP, UP, Rajasthan, etc. तो जब कंस्ट्रक्शन सेक्टर बूम कर रहा था, तो जो मेल एग्रीकल्चरल लेबर फोर्स थी इन स्टेट्स में कम हो गई थी, और जब कंस्ट्रक्शन सेक्टर कम हुआ तो फिर से ये मेल लेबर फोर्स वापस चली गई एग्रीकल्चर के अंदर, और मेल लेबर फोर्स इन एग्रीकल्चरल सेक्टर इट स्टार्टेड इंक्रीजिंग. Impact on real wages in rural sector. So if you look at it from the point of view of employment in the real wages, you'll find is that the impact on real wages is less emphatic. Well, real wages, they grew by around 6% between 2005 to 2012. And it grew by around 3.7% per annum in 2012 to 2018, although it is lesser than 2005 to 2012, but it is still impressive. And we were able to reach even this because of the investment by the government. That is, government expenditure has increased in the rural sector, right? So this is a little positive thing which has happened. Next is that if you look at the job losses in the manufacturing sector, so there are two datas. One is employment in India's manufacturing sector, that is the NSSO household survey data. And the another one is factory sector data in the organized manufacturing. So if you look at the India's manufacturing sector data, then you will find this that between 2005 and 12, around 5.4 million new jobs have been created. While in factory sector data, that is organized manufacturing, around 4.7 million jobs have been created. So out of 5.4 million, 4.7 million jobs are created in the organized manufacturing. So not much has been created in the unorganized manufacturing. There are problems which are faced by the unorganized manufacturing. There are problems which are faced by small scale and micro enterprises and medium level enterprises in the unorganized manufacturing sector. The problems such as, and these problems are there since mid 2000s. So what are those problems? They would be, they don't have enough infrastructure. They don't have enough infrastructure. Then the power shortages are also there. At the same time, if they want to have credit, that credit is not readily available. Then the amount of the rate at which they are getting credit, even that is very high. Also, they have to face competition from imports. How do they survive in the face of imports? Right. Then demonetization also happened. That was a blow to the informal economy. GST happened. That was a blow to the informal economy. So there was the job losses in the manufacturing sector, particularly in the unorganized manufacturing sector. But you know what? I mean, not everything bad has happened. Something good has also happened. So if you look at the services sector, the employment growth in the services sector has increased. See, amount of the employment in the services sector, if you look at 2005-12, it was 18.8 million jobs were created at the rate of 2.7 million jobs per annum. While if you look at 2012 to 18, it is 22.6 million jobs have been created at the rate of 3.8 million per annum. So this period was generally better for other sectors, agriculture, construction, etc. But for services, even this period is better. And the services like trade, hotel, transport, warehousing, education, health, everything has improved. Business services improved. IT related services has improved. And these services, IT related business services, they are employing more highly skilled labor, and they're also giving them very high wages. In the next class, we're going to talk about the unemployment among young men. And we will also talk about the fall in the female workforce participation rate. And we will conclude this reading. So I hope this was a little useful to you. Thank you, Beta.